Good runners, good coaches, good humans, they want to learn. They want to be challenged and to understand. And we're no different, and hopefully that's why you clicked on this video too. So we want to share some of the more interesting running lessons we've learned in the last year or so, and where applicable, we'll point you to who we learnt it from. And why not consider subscribing? It's free and it helps us help you. No hard sell though. Something that shocked me that I wish I'd have known sooner than 2024, because I coach a lot of people, but it is a learning journey, is that when you're racing, the bigger the athlete is, actually the more their fuel requirement is, even though they're running potentially at a slower pace. It doesn't actually matter. Yeah. We're just stopping here for a quick photo so I can do the next point after the photo. So if you take us for example, our fuel consumption requirements in the race was about 70 to 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour. And you would think, because we're running nearer zone 3, we're running at our limit, maybe that if you're running slower, if you're running exclusively in zone 2, car goes fast, then the requirement would be lower, but it's not. It's actually higher if you are a bigger athlete. Yeah. But let me just say, and this is not me that's done this study, bigger athlete is anyone over 70 kilograms, which is a lot of runners. That's a ton of people, so I don't feel like that's a fair term. Yeah, but that's how they've kind of measured it. But what it means though, that we potentially be getting our fuel thinking wrong. Rather than less, you definitely need more, and to take gels more often in marathons.
Yeah, and that could make such a huge difference to so many runners.
Fueling is the thing that so many people get wrong in races. Did you know that by wearing the same pair of trainers for every single run, you can increase your injury risk by up to 39%, which is a lot. Yeah. But by simply having even just 2 pairs of trainers, one for easy, one for speed in your rotation, you're reducing that risk. Here's why. Let's show our first pair. What's your easy run trainers that you bought with you, Mary?
I've got a couple of options, all purpose and easy.
Yeah, we've just been sent these by Mount to Coast. Not tried them yet, but they're supposed to be endurance trainers. These are easy run. What about speed?
New Balance Fuel Cell Elite.
Vaporflies Trail. Topo Hoka. But the thing is, by changing the way that your foot moves within a pair of trainers, just relieves the stresses on some of the muscles, it changes the stimulus on some of the muscles, and it keeps the trainers themselves fresh.
Yeah, the foam recovers as well between runs, so you're saving yourself and the shoes.
So if you want to treat yourself, but also if you want to kind of reduce your injury risk that little bit, even just 2 pairs of trainers will do a job. We've got way too many, but that's the life of a YouTuber, I guess. It might surprise you to know that fueling in the lead up to a race, particularly a marathon, can affect the outcome as much as the training itself. The thing is, in endurance events, there's no getting around it. Your body needs carbs, and by strategically stocking up in the lead up, you're giving your body the best chance of having energy when it needs it. Current thinking is to do a 2 or a 3-day carb load, where you try to load up with 8 grams of carbs per kilogram of your body weight if you're doing a 3-day load, or 10 to 12 grams per kilogram body weight if a 2-day load. It is really hard, but with some liquid carb drinks and some proper planning, it is doable. And then you give your body the best chance of performing how you deserve to. The performance benefits outweigh those of super shoes if you get it right, and it's a much more delicious process as well.
Okay, if you haven't got on this already, 2025 could be the time for you. The arm heart rate strap from
Heart rate strap.
The arm heart rate strap from Coros has been absolutely amazing and game changing for me. We used to use the chest strap because we wanted a really accurate heart rate reading, and the watch just isn't quite accurate enough, but the arm strap is close enough to the heart to get an accurate reading and zero chafing. There's no discomfort, like the chest strap can be really restrictive, so it just enables you to run really comfortably and look really cool at the same time. But massive bonus, it's rechargeable with a USB port. The battery's amazing, it lasts for ages, and then you can just charge it back up. No need for a battery change, which was always a bit of a nightmare with the old chest strap, so massive points on that one too. So this arm heart rate strap has probably been my best purchase of 2024. We did buy these, we've also bought changeable straps. It's not an ad, we're not sponsored, but we do think they're amazing. So if you haven't got one already, it could be a great thing to invest in 2025. and they're super affordable.
One thing that I think will shock a lot of people, and is definitely not going to put me out of business anytime soon, but you can, and I do use AI to give me some ideas when it comes to my running. So you can kind of use it as a halfway house between not knowing what you're doing and having a full-on human coach. Let's say I go on Copilot, that's the one I tend to use, uses ChatGPT 4, and I asked it to reference what's out there on the internet and come up with a couple of speed sessions for me. And it's given me an interval session, a tempo run, and a fartlek session that maybe I wouldn't have come up with, all very different stimulus, but 3 decent session types. But depending how far down the rabbit hole you want to go with it and how specific you want and how wide you want to go, you could essentially plan your whole season using AI if you knew the right questions and the right way to phrase everything. Like I said, it's not going to replace a human coach because I think that they are invaluable, but I think if you're searching in terms of starting and want to just learn a little bit more, AI can do a job.
Something else we think it would be good to know in 2025 is the subtle distinction between racing and going to races, because they are a little bit different. And we like to craft our approach to racing in the form of having matches. And if you've not heard this analogy before, lots of top athletes use it and some average ones as well. But essentially what it means is that you have a set amount of matches you can burn in a year in order to get the best out of yourself. Burn too many matches, you under... Well, the traffic. There's no traffic on this road and suddenly there's loads. Burn too many matches, you might underperform. And although there's a shifting thinking of this at the top end, which I'll be watching with interest, I think for most average Joe runners, 2 matches for marathons per year is probably a decent amount to perform. But the reason that I said racing and races is because we would race 2 marathons a year. Doesn't mean we do 2 marathons a year. We've booked into a marathon in the next month where we're just going to go and have fun. We're not training specifically for that distance, so it's not burning a match. So while we've stopped so Mary can take a bunch of photos, I thought I would just finish this point. And when you think of matches, you don't just have 2 matches for all distances, because let's think about it, a half marathon, it takes less to train for, it takes less effort out of you to race. So you might have 6 to 8 half marathon matches, you might have 2 marathon matches, and you might have more 10 and 5k matches. But racing every weekend will mean that you won't get the most out of your training. You won't be able to dedicate some serious block training to a specific goal like a marathon. But going to races, that's different, because you can just go to races and have a great time. And that's the distinction we want to try and push home is, yes, if you want the best out of yourself, then you have to think about having matches, but you can go to races as much as you want and don't let anybody tell you any differently. Just enjoy them.
Did you realise that the type of strength work that you do matters? Like, really matters. You see, a lot of runners think that their leg muscles need to be conditioned for endurance, and so they go to the gym and they do lower weights and higher reps. But the thing is, the muscles do need to be conditioned for endurance, but that's exactly what running does. So if you go to the gym and essentially offer the body a similar stimulus to running, you'll still see benefits and you'll still see improvement, but not as much as if you lift heavier weights, which obviously you'd have to build up to, and then you do lower reps like in the 5 to 8 range rather than 10 to 30. Obviously, what I'm not saying is that heavier weights and lower reps is the only thing you should be doing in the gym. Any strength work would be beneficial, but if you're looking to try something new and offer the body a different stimulus in 2025, this might be it.
One thing I wish I'd known sooner is the impact that walking can have on your running. This started about 2 years ago for us when we undertook a steps challenge at work. We were in a team of 4 with Mikey and Polly, and we had to get as many steps as we could in a 3-week window. We were aiming for around 25,000 per day. At the end of the challenge, all 4 of us ran a 10k and we flew and we smashed our PBs. So we started to think that there could be something good in this, and we decided to undertake our own 30-day step challenge, which we're in currently, going for 20,000 steps a day, and we're going to see what the impact is.
Whoa, look at that. How good's that view? Right, we've got to turn around. Come on, Winnie.
The reason we think that walking is so beneficial for our running is because it's really low impact on the body, so low cardiovascular cost, low mechanical, muscular cost, reduced risk of injury and really excellent zone 1 training. So we're hoping that this challenge is going to get us super fit and improve our running progress. It could be the same for you in 2025.
Possibly the biggest shift in my thinking in 2024 that I'm taking through into 2025 was a shift towards mobility work rather than flexibility work. And the easiest way for me to describe the difference is that flexibility is like the length of my muscles, like my hamstrings, my quadriceps, whereas the mobility is the range of movement in my joints, say my hips, my ankles, my knees, that allow the muscles to then do their job properly. And this all came from a meetup last Christmas with Vlad Excel when we went running with him, and he was explaining to me how he focuses on mobility just even 10 to 15 minutes a day, which is what I've taken on board. And let me tell you, it has changed my running. Pain in the Achilles that I had for years, just gone. Like simply by focusing on the movement around my joints rather than the flexibility of any one muscle. And that's why I'm never going back. I get up at 6 a.m. every morning and just do 15 minutes of mobility movements. Game changer.
Okay, how about this one for a final beauty? Oh, and it gives you permission to have a lovely holiday as well. It's that heat training. There's not actually that much difference in terms of performance benefits to altitude training. Sure, they do different things. So if we talk about altitude training, it increases your red blood cell count, which increases your oxygen carrying capabilities. But then we talk about heat training, that increases your blood plasma, which improves your thermoregulation, as in your body's ability to keep itself cool. Both lead to performance benefits, but here's where I think it gets really cool for people like you and me, is that the performance benefits from altitude training take 3 to 4 weeks and are usually seen most effective at the elite level. Heat training benefits are often seen and found within 7 to 10 days. Oh, that's around about a 1 week to 2 week holiday somewhere warm. Oh, and trust me, living in a place that feels pretty much hotter than the sun most of the year, we definitely feel the benefits when we go somewhere like Europe in a temperate climate and run, or America. It's unbelievable. So yeah, there's still clear benefits of altitude training, but in terms of availability, feasibility, and benefit to the likes of you and me, heat training, it's not a bad alternative, you know. And if you liked this video, I think you're definitely going to like this one, which was the 10 habits that runners should have but probably don't. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Here's to an amazing 2025.